All right, chapter 4 in part number 5, and as you can see, I've been working on this drawing. I've been primarily focusing on the little girl, and I'm also extremely dedicated to trying to get her dress to look different than the rest of the texture on the drawing. So, you know, over here I'm showing like a messy texture, lots of different strokes, you know, sideways, and I told you guys that I was kind of also doing, you know, this kind of round type of pencil stroke like that where I'm scribbling sideways, possibly showing some kind of clover in there. And with this one, I'm really kind of going with the lay of the land, with the perspective, and then, you know, kind of getting these stains on there. So this is extremely busy. This is extremely busy. With this, you know, I'm kind of going in this circular motion, and I'm circling out, and I'm circling out, and I'm kind of scribbling as well. So when we get to the girl, she's wearing this kind of very light and airy type dress. And so what I'm attempting to do here is employ the modeling factors. I have a video on the modeling factors in Beginner's Basics. So basically what I'm doing here is I'm coming down with a downward pencil stroke, and this is a little dark right now. I'm not so concerned with matching values. Pretty much what I want to have happen here is I want the grass to be lighter than her dress. Okay, so that's my main goal. Now, is my main goal to make the dress identical? No, I don't really care about that too much. You know, I don't want to go any darker than what I have over here, because this is getting dark, and then we're going to start to mess up our value ratios. Again, value ratios is in Beginner Basics. And so what I'm doing here is I'm doing my best to keep this dark, but not too dark. I'm trying to simplify the texture that I'm utilizing while I'm rendering this dress. And on the dress itself, I'm kind of working with the modeling factors. So right over here, you can see a little bit of modeling factors. This would be my light, and then this section of the dress is going to be totally, you know, a cylinder. I turn the cylinder. This is my dark halftone that I'm working on right now. Reflected light right where my pencil point is, and then you have an accent. It's just this accent is not black. An accent is where one thing touches another, and then we start the process all over again. So we have our light, couple of downward pencil strokes for our light halftone, even though this is a bit of a sharper part of the dress. And then we have dark halftone, and then we have reflected light. Okay, so that's what I'm doing with this. And there are certain parts that, you know, I'm just trying to put in shadow. So this I'm really trying to get into shadow over here, and I'm trying to show all the little cylinders, but not put the modeling factors on each little one up top over here. Certain parts of the drawing I want to keep extremely light, like her arm is going to be light, like this part of the dress. I really want to try not to do too much texture. Like over here, this is going too dark, this little line. And lastly, as I kind of go on top of this, I'm using convex line that rolls in, a little bit of convex line wherever I can, so it's not just straight down, straight down, straight down. I'm trying to like add some organic lines going with the opposite lay of the land. And I'm also attempting to do that in her arm, because her arm looks extremely simplistic. So now my job is to come on in here and wrap this in with a convex, show elbow versus, you know, soft muscle. So those are all the things that I'm working on, and those are all the things that we've spoke about in, you know, all the other videos on this website. Lastly, I would overlay the texture. So I see like these little round lavender kind of flower type shapes. So I'm putting these on as well, but I'm trying to do it in a way that's not too distracting, because remember, I want her dress to be simpler than the background texture, and the more texture I start to put in on the dress, then it's going to start to look like this. Now, the other thing with modeling factors is you lose an edge, okay? So I'm losing an edge here. Her dress is the same value as the grass over here, not in the photo per se, but I want to do that on purpose, and I don't want to match my values. So right over here, I kind of put in this middle tone. There are some lights I'm pointing at the reference, but should be below the video. There are some lights over here in the grass, but I'm going to ignore them, and I'm just going to blend this right into her dress. So that's my big blur. You have to have an area that's blurry and similar value to the background in order to have an area pop out. And so that's very important. This is going to be a bit of a harder edge, so I erased this grass. And now even with her legs are a little bit darker than the dress, so I'm coming down, lay of the land, long pencil strokes. And I kind of wanted her to have bare feet, but she's wearing these shoes, and that's what I'm going to work on next. So, this is much too light over here, so I just need to knock that down. See how my pencil stroke is just going back and forth, back and forth. And this is a very hard, stiff edge, so I'm going to have to play with this. Now, right now, my head is, see my head? It's all the way over to the right, and I can't really work on this the way that I would want to. Right now in this particular video, unless I kind of go like that, and now I can lean in a touch, and you just see a little bit of the side of my face. So what I would do is just maybe work on the bottom of the dress. Just there's a little kind of hem at the bottom of her dress, and then I'm gonna just work on making the legs pretty simplistic. Okay, there is a light on this inside of the tibia. So I'm thinking of a little bit of anatomy, and this is very light, that negative space. It's amazing, all the things that I teach on the site. If you're using them right, you're thinking about them in various parts of this drawing, in your own drawing at home. Okay, so that I don't know what I was thinking when I just did that. So I'm going to erase that out, and this is an area that I just really have to play with off camera. So now some other concerns as I move forward. Do I want to match the values on her hair, or do I want to keep this light? Do I want to go really black with the tree trunk to pop it against the light? These are like little things. Her face is totally in shadow, and I've made her face a little bit lighter. I worked on her face first because I'd started this drawing months ago, and I did the face, and I didn't like the face, so it's very hard to draw that face. It's like super tough because you can't cling on to any shadow shapes. It's all just softness. So I did that first, and I was kind of happy with it. That was, to me, the toughest part of the drawing. So now it's just a matter of me going on in here. Even this arm is just pure modeling factors. I'm going to work on her. I'm going to work on her shoes off camera. But most of the landscape, I'm going to say, is done now. Perhaps I'm going to come on in just like this, very lightly, and get rid of some of this white. Could also do this by tapping with my brush. As soon as I get rid of some of this white, it makes this area a little less, confusing, but not confusing. I should use the word distracting. Let's distract some of this over here. I don't want to go in there with a paintbrush just yet. Okay, and so the more I knock down these lights, the more we look at her. Okay, so that's what I'm working on with the drawing. A lot of verbiage there, so I'm going to work, I'm photographing it every step of the way, and you're going to be able to see the photographs obviously on this page. You probably already looked at them before you watched the video. And so, yeah, next is going to be the shoes, and I'm going to definitely use the same techniques that I blended her dress into the background. Going to blend her shoes right into that cast shadow shape. Alright, so thanks for watching. We'll come back with a couple more chapters in this part 5.